Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers. And I greet you all with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I continue to pray that each and every one of you, your friends, your family, your relatives, and all of your relatives will accept and receive the healing, the knowledge, and the wisdom from the universe. Now, with that said, the title of this particular is 1918 Pandemic, the Spanish Flu. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up, and I talked about it earlier in another video last couple of days, but I brought it up sort of in a video about fear. Well, I just thought I'd share a little information with you, and all you have to do is search this yourself. And the reason I'm doing this is because there are so many people who are scared to flippin' death about this flu. Now, the 1918 influenza pandemic, and I'm reading this off of DuckDuckGo, was the most severe pandemic in recent history. It was caused by an H1N1 virus with genus of avian origin, meaning a bird. Although there is not universal consensus regarding where the virus originated, it spread worldwide during 1918 and 1919. In the United States, it was first identified in military personnel in the spring of 1918. It was the first two pandemics involving H1N1 influenza virus. It affected 50 million people around the world, including people on remote Pacific islands and in the Arctic. So, 50 million people in 1918 was about 1/3 of the population of the planet. Okay, so the pandemic killed more people than the Great War known as World War I, and somewhere between 20 and 40 million people from the flu pandemic. It has been cited as the most devastating epidemic in recorded world history up to this point. Also called the Spanish influenza pandemic or the Spanish flu, the most severe outbreak in the 20th century, and in terms of total numbers of deaths, almost the most devastating pandemic in human history. The flu infected over 25% of the U.S. population. In 1 year, the average life expectancy in the United States dropped by 12 years. It is an oddity of history that the influenza pandemic of 1918 has been overlooked in the teaching of American history. I'll say I found out about this many years ago, and their three brothers died within a day of each other, locally around here. And I talked with some old folks who had survived it, and it's like it was really, really bad. And so this thing about people talking about how scared they are about this particular pandemic, it's like, listen, we've had some really bad ones, okay? And for people to say, well, like wearing a mask, and quite frankly, they're saying that wearing a mask might actually make it worse. But the best thing for you to do is to keep your hands and your nose clean and that kind of thing. The lethal influenza pandemic that struck New Zealand between October and December of 1918 killed about 9,000 people in 2 months. No other event has claimed so many New Zealand lives in such a short time. So I'm reading this off of DuckDuckGo, okay? The influenza pandemic of 1918 was a heavy pandemic of influenza. It lasted for 3 full years, from January of 1918 to December of 1920. And to this day, no one knows how or why the flu virus suddenly mutated into such a deadly form. No, nor do they know how to prevent it from happening again. And this was a recent article, a couple of years old, but still. And there are many different um, numbers, but I don't think like back in the day, 3, 4 people died in a family. Not all these deaths got recorded as, flu and this and that. So I think their number is low. I think in rural areas, there are a lot more people died because back in 1918, it was difficult to get around. People were still horse and buggying it. So, the had another unique feature: the simultaneous or nearly simultaneous infection of humans and swine, meaning pigs. Um, the virus of 1918 likely expressed an antigenetical novel type to which most humans and swine were immunologically naive in 1918. So a lot of strange things happened back then. So my point to why am I bringing this up and why am I saying anything about it? Okay, I'm back. Hi, Ian, David Castle. Good to see you. It's just that, as I have talked about before, there have been much worse things happen. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not here to say, oh, don't worry about this. But there are people getting their knickers in a bunch to the point where it's like driving them nuts. And I say, hang on, folks, do a little bit of history yourself. Now, the best thing we can do is keep ourselves, as healthy as possible. But this thing about, though, there's, 290 people have it. Up to this point, only 3% of those people have died. So we're talking about, 3% out of 300 people, not many folks. Now, that's not to say that it's a good thing, bad thing, but in retrospect to what the Spanish flu was, 9,000 people died in 2 months. We've been knowing about this for several weeks. The body count, if it were like the swine flu, God forbid it's not. But my point is that they seem to be making mountains out of molehills. Not that this can't be bad, understand that. But to my point, that this chaotic fear factor about this is driving me nuts when I'm looking through this. And everybody is so pathetically, oh my God, we're all going to die. People are quarantined. People are this. Over in China, they quarantine for people for a lot of other reasons than just the flu. But anytime you got over 1 billion people in China, it's going to be easy to spread. But the Spanish flu back in the day, it was even in the Arctic and South Pacific islands. They don't know how it got around. It could have been by a bird. So even me down here, as I say, well, I'm not just going to go into public. If somebody can get the flu on a South Sea island or sitting in the Arctic somewhere, then no matter where we sit, we're going to get it, or it's going to be around us or something. And that was before they were doing aerial spraying, etc. So my point to this is, listen, just calm down, y'all. Don't get your panties in a bunch so much. Purdy, please. It's been much worse several times. 1918, 100 years ago, it was much worse than anything that they're describing now. Again, I'm not saying that this is something that we should ignore, but we shouldn't be so fear-mongered about it. Please back up a little bit. Stay healthy. Do what you normally do. And if it starts racking up body, people getting sick with it that's not uncommon. But when 50% of the people who get it start dying, that's when we if there's, I hate to use the word panic, but if you're going to really start to worry, but only 3% of the people infected have died. Now, I still pray for them folks and the folks that are sick. I've had the flu over the years and it sucks. My personal thing is that they say we got a vaccine for this. I'm not taking it. All the vaccine in the flu vaccines in the past have always made me sick. I can't take them, whether or not it's the flu or whatever. I'm not taking it. Okay, going to take my chances just being normal. That's my personal choice. Now, there are some folks that will force you into taking a vaccine. I would seriously recommend you think about it before you just go, okay. But again, that's your personal choice. But this idea that what's going on now is so bad, listen, 9,000 people, 2 months in New Zealand. And back then, New Zealand didn't have many people, so 9,000 people in New Zealand in 1918 would have been a good deal of the population. We don't see that right now. Let's pray that it doesn't, but let's not fall into this fear factor about it. There's a whole lot more going on with all of the above, okay? So, but anyway, just a little bit of information. And to remind folks, listen, it has been a whole lot worse way back in the day. So, and this is not the first time, and it ain't going to be the last. So keep yourself as healthy as possible. Now, this is just a short video. Divine Living, how are you? Ian, David Castle, good to see you. Breaking Dawn, howdy, everybody. Yes, Divine Living. Listen, I'm going to do a live stream at about 11:15 tonight, okay, about wisdom. I put it up there. Hey, Millie Cow. Millie Cow says, I too got sick from a flu shot once. Yep, I just don't take them anymore. And I used to take them regular and invite people to take them. Not anymore, because every time I took them, I got sick, and I was like, and I mean sick. Oh, crap, And so I don't do it anymore. But listen, 11:15, a couple of hours, I'm going to do a live stream about wisdom, okay? And does age have anything to do with wisdom? So if y'all have a chance to come back and hang out a little later on, I'm going to do a live stream at 11:15 Eastern time tonight later on. So my blessings to you all. And just remember, things can get worse, damn straight, but it's not as bad as it has been. And we just need to look at the figures before we start getting all heebie-jeebie and our panties in a bunch. That's all I'm saying. Be careful, be sweet, be kind, always be considerate. I am your humble host, closing always with a prayer. I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you, your friends, your family, and all of your relatives and relations will accept and receive the healings, the knowledge, and the blessings from the universe. I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you, your friends, your family, and all of those aforementioned will accept, receive, and to continue to share the wisdom and the knowledge from the universe. And I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one will continue your journey, continue to accept and receive and share and spread the knowledge and the wisdom that you have learned. So until later on, a couple hours, I will be back. Blessings to all of you. Keep your head straight about some of this stuff. And just remember, they're trying to scare the crap out of us and keep us in chaos. We need to stay out of that area. Okay. Blessings, everybody. Until later. Captain Trips is overrated. Watch the stand. Okay. Blessings, everybody. Till later. Ciao for now. Bye, Ian and everybody. Till later. Divine Living, blessings. Until later. Be safe. Be kind.